Hello, it is auto asphyxiation, and this is Lark.
And Kimberly.
That's right. And we're here for another episode of auto asphyxiation. I know it's kind of like weird because it's like all these interesting things going on, and we're talking about different topics that are not directly related, but yet they are related. Um, Today we're talking about there's a light rail in New Jersey that used to be a lot more extensive and now it is not. And we are also talking about SEPTA, which is essentially 65% of the people who take SEPTA are women, which is kind of amazing. And it's on the chopping block in regards to funding. So, like, what happens to a neighborhood when its public spaces are abandoned? Because public transit is kind of like public spaces. What does it mean when a once busy site of transit connection and care, especially in Black and Latino communities, are also working class communities, are left to rot? This is something that's really kind of disturbing because there was an article in Jersey Digs, which is a real estate blog. And then there was an article we looked at Fox 29 about Philly SEPTA. And also in Spaces Means of Production, which is a feminist feminist urbanism blog that we run. We also talked about an extension to the light rail. So the thing is that, Kimberly, you actually live by one of these abandoned stations of the light rail in Essex County, New Jersey. Just give people like a kind of a feeling. Essex, you know, Essex County has a light rail and it's called the Newark Subway. And I think, well, we used to be called Newark Subway. Now it's just called the New Jersey Light Rail. And it used to have all these stops. It used to go like it used to go lots of places. It didn't just terminate in the middle of nowhere. Well, actually, now it's just kind of like you just get lucky and then you can go to Penn, Newark. But it used to go all over Essex County. Now it's essentially a lot of the sections that are predominantly, I guess, want to say predominantly African American. The train doesn't stop anymore. That's just what I've noticed. And I guess with that, I'm gonna just kind of like say, what do you think about these abandoned stations, Kimberly? Because I know that you're kind of like, we're always kind of like, why can't you come and visit me by train? Because it's like we're right, you're right by one of the old stations, right?
I'm less than half a mile from the Ampere station in East Orange, which used to be called the Crescent.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If you live there, you could take the light rail to my house because I live right by I live at the very end of the light rail line, like right before suburbia starts. Like they go, oh, now you're in suburbia, even though all of Essex is urban. But when we say, okay, I say this in New Jersey, I'm going to just be really, really blatant because I didn't understand. Because if you're not in New Jersey, you might not understand this. New Jersey is the most urban state in the Union or United States. I'm talking in Yankee talk. Um, New Jersey is the most urban state in the United States. It is very crowded. But we call it the suburbs. But we call it the suburbs not because of a geographical definition. We call it the suburbs because this is where a lot of white people live. A lot of middle class white people live. Just to be really like blatant, when we say suburban, we don't actually mean the geographic term of suburban. We mean where white people start living. And so we essentially say Newark is urban, and then we go, oh, Montclair is suburban. We kind of go Bloomfield's kind of on the edge, like kind of bourbon. But essentially, when we say suburban in New Jersey, we just mean there are some white people there. When we say urban in New Jersey, we mean it's mostly Black and some Latino. So just to kind of give you an understanding of that, and because the thing is that we all speak in code and we don't realize it, and then we kind of go, oh, and we're talking and no one knows what the hell we're talking about. So, I mean, you live there. And here's the thing that just shocks me. And I'm going to kind of like let you talk in a second. I'm sorry. But
It's a
I just think it was interesting that when you're in California and you were in an area that I would think is like, there were fewer Black people there. And you were in kind of like the desert. And you were in the desert. But you had a bus. You had a bus.
Yeah.
You had a bus that was pretty good. You talk about this bus that was running, and it was like, wow. And I keep going, why is this bus running? That's crazy. But you now are in, and this is kind of, and you didn't even have a car. You were like taking public transit, and now you
I didn't
have to
even
get a
have a
car.
driver's license.
That's
I
what I'm
didn't even
saying.
have a driver's license. Like I let mine from New Jersey expire. I had to retake the whole driver's test when I moved back here. Like I relied on buses. It was great.
You're probably thinking Southern California relying on buses, that's outrageous. But you moved back to New Jersey. At first you're in Harrison, which had, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not giving all your business. Okay, first you moved to a place that's really, kind of a suburban place, and it's, you're right by the path. That's kind of like, you're right by the path, and you're right, but yeah, well, you're right by the path, so you can easily get into New York City, et cetera, et cetera. um but now you are where you are. You're in an urban area. You are in the East Orange area. And I think the thing is amazing is that you kind of are have to have a car now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, like it's, there are things that are walkable. I have a lot of bodegas in the area where I can get like, odds and ends, like daily essentials, groceries and such, something for dinner really quick. But to go like actually anywhere, I would absolutely need a car.
And that's the thing I think is interesting. Like in order for you to get to work, to get to go to work, to a place that is like, if you don't have like a, one of those, work from home jobs, in order for you to go to work, you have to have a car. In order for you to go to the doctor, you have to have a car. In order for you to go to school, you have to have a car because you can't get to the college that's kind of like near you. You're near Rutgers and you're near Essex County College and you're near NJIT. You can't really get there by public transit, right?
Not unless I take like three buses and maybe 4 or 5 hours out of my day.
And it's literally right next door. I mean, not next door, but it's kind of like, and you're probably like, well, if it's right next door, why can't you just walk? Well, it's the streets are really crowded. It's not a really friendly walkable area. It's not even made for walking. There's a lot of double parking. It's not necessarily a pleasant walk. It's very complicated. It's slightly too far. Anything that's over half a mile is really slightly too far to walk comfortably, especially if you have rain, if you have snow, if you have all this stuff. And I think about in regards to public transit in New Jersey, and I think about the fact that, especially in the urban part of New Jersey, as I already told you, we already had the conversation of what we were actually saying when we say urban. We're in urban New Jersey. I think about, how they stopped using, how they essentially stopped the service for the light rail. They stopped the light rail service. And essentially, oh, well, now people who matter don't take it. So we don't really need the light rail anymore. And I think that speaks to like this larger point of, you know, who is the light rail, who is public transit for? If yeah, who is public transit for when it seems like when white men no longer need it, then it gets shut down as being like not as useful. I'm going to read something. This is actually from our piece in our in Spaces and Means Production. Extend the Newark subway to WA testing and beyond. It says the Newark subway, run by New Jersey Transit, has much potential and is underdeveloped. It started as a replacement for the Morris Canal, which was abandoned in the 1920s. At the time, several cities, Newark, Bloomfield, Clifton, Patterson, purchased the canal route to be used for the main line for a light rail network extending from Newark to Patterson. Depression intervened. Public Service of New Jersey made the decision to convert its trolleys to electric buses, and only the Newark section was completed. But what a system. 3 other important light rails used the subway as a way to efficiently and quickly traverse the downtown streets. The 29 Bloomfield line ran up Bloomfield Avenue all the way to Verona. The 21 traveled from West Orange and used entrances at Warren and Orange Street to enter the subway. So I went from West Orange, and that's into like the Newark Penn, and the 23 exited on a secret ramp that traveled on Central Avenue to the Highland Avenue station in Orange. And then they, in the 50s, they converted these to buses in the 1950s. And so they, what was interesting about these lines, these routes did not dead end into small suburbs, but connected to other rail lines and outer terminuses. So it was kind of like this really, great system. And it seemed like once things became, I want to say redevelopment came, they got rid of these trains. So what are your thoughts about this? Like, how do you, as a woman, like you having to like have a car now? I mean, you didn't even need a car in California, which is nuts. How do you feel about that when you're like, oh, I know you're like, oh, I'm by this light rail, it doesn't work.
Yeah. It's really disappointing. As a person that grew up in the more wooded rural area of New Jersey, moving to Hudson and then later Essex County was really exciting for me because I really thought that my car was going to be secondary. Like I wouldn't have to rely on my car as much. And that has just really not become the case. I need my car more here than I did in Harrison, most definitely. I need my car here more than I did when I lived out west. And yeah, to what you said before about like walking around here, East Orange is very hilly. A lot of the sidewalks are very broad and have been made for people to like walk up and down them. But they have not been maintained. There's tree roots like uprooting them. A lot of them are uneven. A lot of them on my street are old slate that are, they're beautiful, but a lot of them are cracked and broken. And, like I said, like, just like completely displaced by tree roots.
I mean, that's the thing too. We want to be really careful too. We want to kind of like explain to you the way Essex or New Jersey is set up. Um, Essex should be, as we actually had a conversation, Essex should be a city and it's not. Owing to redlining, owing to like racism, et cetera, they've divided up all these cities. These cities are divided up under class and racial lines. So of course, essentially a lot of the city's maintenance is owing to the what do you call it? The property taxes. This is why I call schools are set up. So a lot of the things that places like Montclair have, places like Glenridge has, East Orange doesn't have. So it's not a lack of caring, it's a lack of money. And that lack of money is owing to a lot of things that are based on race and class and all this stuff. So the thing is that East Orange is really beautiful. Like they have a lot of beautiful houses. They have a lot of like, we love the city. We love the culture. They have this wonderful art. They have this wonderful art walk at the manufacturing village. So we want to like lift up East Orange and let you know like we're talking about it, but this is not like the bash East Orange thing. This is
Oh no.
yeah. Yeah, you love your place.
I love living here. Like I moved here last week it was exactly 2 years. And I love living here. People from East Orange are fantastic. They're outgoing, they're friendly. People from East Orange have a lot of pride in their city, as they should. A lot of really influential people have come out of East Orange. And it's a really great city. And they do have a lot of great revitalizing projects here going on. And they're really invested in keeping East Orange, and like a lot of their projects that you can get grants and money for as a resident of East Orange are to make sure that gentrification doesn't happen.
And the thing is that, another thing I always like to point out, because people kind of talk about like, oh, in regards to Penn Newark, they talk about Ross should make Penn Newark Station night. That has nothing to do. He's a mayor. That has nothing to do. It is the county and the state have to do with NJIT. So in regards to the public transit, in regards to the upkeep, that has nothing to do with the city, with the various cities that are part of the cities decide if you can put a bus, we call it a bus stop, but in regards to the upkeep of the stations, in regards to if there is going to be a station, the mayor cannot just on this own autonomously go, let's open up Ampere. That would be amazing, but that's not something that can happen. And I think that's the whole thing. This kind of like these political lines, when Essex is functionally one city, and we could really, and I just think about it, I think about a lot of women, a lot of caretakers, a lot of seniors rely on public transit. And every time I am on the bus or I look at the bus stops in Essex County, they're always crowded. No matter what time of day, I can get on the bus at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, and that bus will be packed. And mainly it's women. Mainly it's going to be women and seniors, and that who's on the bus. And so when I think about the fact that these bus stops, these train stations, which I think in a way the trolleys in a way are make it easier to take public transit, especially too if you are kind of thinking about like safety, waiting. The trolley or the train feels, for me, I don't know, you let me know, Kimberly, if you agree with me, feels safer to me because it's a train. It's like there's like you put money into that, you put money into the infrastructure. So when you're waiting for a train, when you're waiting at a train station or a trolley stop, it feels to me, and actually hate using the term safe because we use it in such a weaponized way. But I feel better. I feel more like, oh, if I had to take the bus to work every day, I don't know if I would be taking public transit. But because I'm taking the train, it feels different. And I feel like, oh, I'm going to go wait by the train stop. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it feels like you're dressing up and you're like, I'm dressing up and going to the train station.
No, I totally agree with you. And like we were in, it's been a long time since I've been at a bus stop. I will admit that. I don't really take the bus around here that much because I have to walk so far to get to buses that I want to take. Um, and most of the bus stops are just like a sign, and like when I took the buses in California and in Arizona, they were mostly, especially for my city where I lived in California, they were mostly just a bench. Yeah, a train station is, you have to walk into a building and pass through a turnstile usually. Like we took the path in the subway on Thursday night last week. And it is a much safer feeling. Just kind of being like, you feel more, not, yes, that safe word is overused. You feel more secure.
when you I was on mute. When you're trying to wait for the bus, you feel like, oh, is it coming? Like, where is it? You know the train's coming. It's like, I don't know, something about the train, I guess the infrastructure and the cares in it, the train is coming. So you just feel like, oh, this is like a better idea. And you feel like I don't know. I think I feel that way. And I really like that. But I kind of want to talk about the SEPTA. SEPTA is the train line in Philadelphia. And essentially they are, unfortunately, the state of Philadelphia has become taken over by Republicans or fascists. We'll just say taken over by fascists. And they've decided they're going to service cut of 45%, which is wow. What? 45%? And they're going to increase the fares by 21%. And the thing about SEPTA, which is really unusual, not unusual, women are the predominant demographic that takes public transit, which I think people don't really actually know that because they're always like, well, what about the worker, the 9 to 5 worker, the guy? They're always thinking about the guy. But women caretakers, they take public transit more than this 9 to 5 phantom guy that people are always talking about. This kind of like ideal customer that works in Wall Street. That's who they always want. That's who it's for. But that's not who really takes it. And in SEPTA, 65% of the people who take public transit are women. And so there is no way I think that is not part of their reasoning in cutting this. Oh, if we cut public transit, where this thing that women use to get to work and to get around, then we can like disenfranchise women. And I think that this points to how public transit and voting and representation is so very important, because I can't help but think that that 65% number, which is even one of the higher numbers for women taking public transit, isn't what's driving this whole idea that cutting it 45%. I mean, that to me is just that's unbelievable to me.
That's wild. I mean, really, like that's pretty much half. That's pretty much half. And when you think about, when we look at how they've cut off the light rail in Essex County and around East Orange, where I live, East Orange is 79% Black and 54.2% women. And that is from uscensus.gov, and that's from like 2023. And what I notice also when I travel around East Orange, either if I walk to the bodega or if I have to drive somewhere, what I notice is that there are a lot of women in the main areas walking around East Orange that like they literally like, I'm not trying to be insulting to anybody, but they look like pack mules because they're just burdened with shopping bags, children, strollers, carriers. It's usually like two women together that are like doing their shopping together or whatnot, but they're both burdened, and I think about like, wow, it would be so beneficial to those women who are doing their care work. And the predominant industry also in East Orange is healthcare. That's pretty much what we have here. So like these women that are going to work at the nursing homes around East Orange, the women that are picking their children up from school, taking people to the doctor, doing the shopping, like they need public transportation here, and they need like a train would be so much better rather than walking around like a donkey in the rain and the snow.
And here's the thing too. In Essex, in New Jersey, essentially Essex County, I think Essex County for sure, and New Jersey generally, Black people are the least likely to own a car. That's actually nationally. Black people are the least of the demographic. If you're going to separate by like ethnicity and race, Black people are the least likely to have a car. And in New Jersey, that is also the case. In Essex County, especially, Black people do not have cars. So it's not like, oh, I get to choose if I take the bus or if I take the train. This is it. If you have a kid, if you have a nursing, your nursing job, you have your childcare job, that is what you take. You have what it is. And it's kind of like, because the people have no choices, it's like almost like, well, you just take what I give you. And there's the same case in Philadelphia. You just take what I give you. And there's no way I believe that if white middle class men who are working on Wall Street were were relying on this public transit, they would just cut it like that. Oh, well, I'm just going to cut 50%. There's no way they would do that. But they feel, and I feel like this is how public transit got cut in New Jersey in the light rail. The only way where you can go is New York to get to Wall Street. You can't get up the street. You can't you can't get to the grocery store. You can't get to childcare. And I'm like, well, also too, I want to know on a side note, why aren't there childcare centers by these train stations? Why doesn't Penn Newark have a childcare center in it? Why doesn't, like, the path, I don't know, from Harrison, all of these path stations should have childcare centers in them.
Harrison does actually, and that was something that I noticed.
Harrison?
Harrison does, yeah. Harrison does. On the block that I lived on, right across the street, there was a child care center where people could drop off their kid and then just walk to the path station. Which, but Harrison, all of those new buildings, is a very planned community. And they've taken those, even though it's somewhat become a bedroom community and the people that live there really don't like live there per se, they still planned for them to be part of a vibrant and beautiful community, and that's why they have child care centers and all these little coffee shops and stuff around.
And I think that's something, I feel that especially the county, the state, I mean, they have these things where and here's the thing is was really good. I think it was really excellent that Newark, East Orange, and some other places. Oh, Montclair, they have free childcare, like essentially free, like, well, sorry, not free childcare. They have universal pre-K. And I didn't mean to say free childcare to disrespect people. I have worked in early childhood education, but they have free 3 through 5 years old education for children in these cities. And I'm like, why couldn't those go in the train station? I feel like that would be because especially when I go to Newark Penn, so many empty spaces in Newark Penn. You could easily put a child care center in there and it will be fine. I think a child care center should be in Newark Penn, not Newark, New York Penn, 42nd Street. I think every single one of these train stations, especially these transit hubs, should have child care and preschools in them.
Have to ask my husband. I didn't know we went through the Oculus on Thursday, but I didn't notice if they had any like childcare spaces there. I'll have to ask him. But he goes through there at least once or twice a week, so I'll bug him. But on Thursday it was mostly like him leading, like some kindergartners. So
Yes, yes. But I mean, I think this is really interesting. I mean, I think that this is something we don't really think about. I mean, we end up having a conversation, and here's the thing. I think it's really important for primary caregivers to be able to access bicycles. I think it's very, but I also think we don't have enough conversations about good public transit. And not just good enough, but public transit that works for everyone and public transit that actually worked for the majority, because most people they're either going to be women, seniors, that some of these seniors, well, I'm not going to even talk about that, disabled. And that's most people. Most people are not neurotypical, able-bodied, middle-class white men. That, you would think that the way they talk, the way they, like, these planners talk, you would think that's the majority of people in the world. But the majority of people, they're all these other people. They're these other people, and it's like no one plans for them. When you get on public transit, when you get on the train outside of Manhattan, anywhere else in the United States, and you get on the train and you get on the bus, you see women, you see seniors, you see disabled people. But yet, public transit is not viewed as a thing that is for these people. It's only viewed for people who, well, how can we get people who want to go to work? And like as if we're not working, at least as if our work, oh, if you work as a nurse, that's not real. If you work as a teacher, that's not a real job. The only real job are jobs that white men hold.
And yes, profit driven.
Exactly. Profit driven. That's the only job that is a real job. Like, oh, are you a lawyer for men? Are you work on Wall Street? And I think it's so wild because Wall Street is only in New York City, but yet every single planner is planning for that dude. Like whether it be LA or Philadelphia, they're all planning for him.
And it's a really small part of New York City.
Exactly. It's such a small part of New York, but literally everything is planned around that guy. Like, what can we do to make him happy?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I guess with that, it's like, I just think about in regards to them, the Essex stations, I think about the fact that they are, they should be extended and reopened. but also just the fact that they've just been abandoned, and they're just like, in a way, they're kind of like these ruins, like these eyesores that are just in the cities. Like, okay, we'll replace it when better people get there. And I think that's another thing that's frustrating. It's like, if a neighborhood gets gentrified, all of a sudden they can open it back up. And it's like, oh no, that's not what we were doing. Like, it clearly looks like that's exactly what you were doing. So it's kind of like, oh, East Orange still has, East Orange is 79% African American. So if we could get that below 50, then maybe we could open it back up. I mean, it literally seems like that's what they're doing. Just like Newark Penn. I always feel like, oh, if they could feel like if I'm not sure why they keep Newark Penn in the state that it is. And this is not even me, I don't understand it, because I'll put it this way. Being from Los Angeles, where public transit was very interesting, Union Station in Los Angeles looks better than Newark Penn. And I know people are like, well, of course it does. I'm like, no, actually it shouldn't. It really shouldn't, because if you knew what's going on around Union Station in downtown LA, you should know it shouldn't look better than Newark Penn. And Newark Penn is a lot more active. A lot more people who literally use it they do use it. But we just run through it because we don't want to stop in there. We just want to run through it because it's such a nightmare. I don't even go to the bathroom in Newark Penn.
No, no.
I'm scared to go to the bathroom in New York Penn. I say that, and I'm not even like one of these people who are just like, oh, I'm scared. I'm not scared of many things, but I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I'm not going to do it. And this is the thing. It's like, a lot of, anyway, I'm kind of going on and on and on, but I'm just saying, it says if care is infrastructure, as many feminists say, what would it mean to care for these stations and the communities around them? I mean, like, what can we, I don't know. I'm hoping that with these new articles, like with our article, with the article in Jersey Digs, people are really thinking about, opening these stations back up and giving people some options, especially with, the inflation that's coming owing to a certain situation. Cars are
Yes.
expensive.
And they're about to become a lot more expensive.
Exactly. And we need to have good public transit options. And we also need to have either something needs to be done with these stations. They need to like be activated, or put some art projects on them, put some childcare centers in them, and get people to start going to them. You can't just leave them. I look at the Ampere station, it's just there. It's just like it's like built like it's just like this. Oh, it was a station and there's nothing there now. It's just a broken down station.
Exactly. And that to exactly what you said, I think that they would be a great place for art installations, and even if like you did an installation on the outside of it of showing like the history, those photographs are very, very easily accessible on the internet. You could do an entire installation on the outside just showing like what was possible then is still possible now. We just need to invest time and money and care into it.
I'm actually now thinking maybe we should do an art project. We could do some kind of film thing. We could like have it we could have it projected. We could have the train projected on the track, like where it would it look like. That would be kind of cool. We could talk to your brother. Anyway, all right. So with that, is there anything else that you have to say, Kimberly?
Well, I think a lot of just in general, what I've been hearing in regards to everything is mostly just it's somebody else's problem. Somebody else has to take care of it. Or what have they done for me? They have not done anything for me. And I think I don't often quote any president, but it popped up in my head of JFK saying, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And our communities are our country. You can do very simple daily actions. It's so simple to walk past garbage right in front of your home and be like, oh, the street sweeper comes twice a week. Pick up the chip bag, just throw it out. You're going inside anyway. Like, you doing one small action of showing care for your community will show other people that you care. And maybe they too will start to be like, well, hey, if that person cares, I care about my community. Like, you know, and maybe they'll be less likely to dump trash, or maybe they'll be more likely to pick up trash. It really is our responsibility to take care of our communities and to pressure our governments and our elected officials to make sure that money is going to take care of our communities. It's our responsibility. So ask yourself, what small action can you do today that can show your community that you truly care for it?
And I think that's something that we should ask for our Essex County commissioners. You know, you're the county commissioners for Essex, and when you go through East Orange, when you go through Newark, when you go through Irvington, does this look okay to you? And if not, then what are you going to do about it? Not just because you live in Montclair or just because you live in Bloomfield and you're like, well, we've got 2 train stations by our house. We've got, so not my problem, but it is your problem, though. It is your problem. If your neighbor can't get to work, if people are suffering right next door to you, because Essex really is a city. So literally, you're telling your neighbor, oh, I don't care what happens to you. You are not doing your job. You are not being a good neighbor. So with that, we're gonna wrap it up. And if you guys are out there and you have some ideas in regards to, like, you know, you're working on projects with the Newark light rail or SEPTA, and you want to tell us about it, reach out. Also, yes, subscribe. We also say that. We never
Yes.
say that. We always forget.
Please subscribe and share with your friends.
Exactly, exactly. So with that, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.